Just me. Hi, everybody. It's Katie Harris, owner and CEO of Nursepreneurs.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jill Weberding, CEO and founder of Nurse Assure.
And today we are talking about opportunities that we let go by.
Yes. Dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
And it's one of those things where when you think about it, it's like might say, oh, if I had this opportunity to do X, I would jump all over it.
Yes.
And yeah, I think we all say stuff like that. But Jill, what is kind of the reality of
The reality of that is when you actually get those opportunities, the mind gremlins kick into high gear. And it's usually it's usually imposter syndrome, that you may not be ready, you may not be qualified, you may not be expert enough to do whatever it is that the opportunity is for you. And we find all kinds of reasons to sabotage ourselves and don't actually take advantage of the opportunity. Like we've seen this over and over again with nurses that we worked with, where when they finally get like an incredible opportunity to get themselves out there, what happens, Katie?
Some of them fail, or I've had people say, oh, I'm too busy. And, some of these opportunities, like I'm talking about putting you in front of an audience of tens and hundreds of thousands of nurses at sometimes. And I've had people say that they were too busy. And I was like, what could you be more busy doing than promoting to? Like, if you had the opportunity to present to 100,000 nurses, would you be interested? Would that be something you'd jump?
And their audience is
blown
nurses.
away. Yeah, if your audience is nurses, of course. If it's not nurses, then that might not interest you. But I mean, to pass up an opportunity like that is just mind blowing. And a lot of you might be sitting there going, "Who would pass something like that up?"
Multiple. We have just experienced this in the last 6 months. We've had multiple nurses who are in the early stages, building their business, want to know, how am I going to get it out there? Recognize that the marketing piece is bigger than they thought it would be. It's not you don't just create a website and now all of a sudden, oh, everybody knows, where you are and who you are and what you do and how you help. No, you've got to get in front of your audience. You have to get the word out. And this is like when you get an opportunity to speak or maybe do a program or workshop for someone else, it is free advertising. And you typically in a group, in a network that you would have never had access to yourself. So it's a huge opportunity to get an invitation like that. And we have recently seen a lot of nurses turning that down, yet they're like, they say that they want to, maybe leave their full-time nursing role and do this business, but they're sabotaging themselves. I mean, full on.
Yeah. And we've had it to the point where we had one nurse who was, very specific in what she was doing. She was going to present for us. And then at the 11th hour, she decided to do something completely out of the ballpark that was so 180 or not even close to what it was that she was originally doing. And we're like, okay. And she's like, well, that will be easier. And it's kind of like, well, I'm just about to put you in front of 500,000 nurses, so I'm not quite sure what other marketing thing you have going on, but that's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like, there's a couple, again, it's generally the mind gremlins, whether we admit that that's what's going on or we don't. When we say we're too busy, when we say, I don't really have the time, that's going to be a lot of work to put a presentation together. Try to grassroots reach out to 500,000 people and tell me how much work that is, or how much money it's going to cost you to paid traffic, get in front of that many people who are, in your audience. It's astronomical. So the effort and the resources that it would take to equate that opportunity. So Again, it's the mind gremlins that are going off and telling you, oh my gosh, I've never spoke to that many people. What if they don't like what I do? What if it doesn't resonate? What am I going to say? And it's this fear, and we've talked about this, Katie, before, fear of success. I was a little bit it was like it felt like a little off to me. It really truly is fear of failure. You're afraid of failing, but when you get the opportunity, it's like an initial fear of success of like, well, what if it does connect and people now, what do I do with them now that they're interested? Like, I don't know. What do I do with them?
Yeah, no, we've seen that kind of the fear of success slash fear of failure a couple of times,
Yep.
and it is intimidating. But it's like they project these problems that don't exist yet, and we've seen this with
Yeah.
another client of ours where she was so concerned about the thousands of clients that were going to want all these things from her, but we're like, but you don't have one client yet, so let's
Exactly.
worry about getting one client, and then we can worry about 1,000 clients.
Yeah.
But you're not, you can't be Amazon before you become Amazon, right? Like
Right.
start with one product, one thing, and work on that one process, and then you can build up.
Yes, absolutely. And again, like you're literally just guessing. I mean, when you're talking about, well, but what happens if this, and like you're going down, you got to recognize you're going down a rabbit hole of what if, and you're letting those what if things that have not happened, you have no idea if they will happen at all. And you're using that to hold you back from taking the next step forward and getting your business out there in front of people. Right.
Yeah,
So, like, it really becomes a question of truly, because this is about fear. It really becomes a question of what's more important to you, doing and helping the people that you say you want to help, like, saying, I really want to close this gap, I really want to serve this audience with my knowledge and experience because I know I can help them off the struggle bus. Is that more important, or is staying in the fear more important? Like, that's all it comes down to.
right. And I think a lot of people, not just nurses, but anybody that goes into entrepreneurship, one of the things that they don't recognize in the beginning is that this is a leadership role. You're
Yeah.
standing up and saying, I have a solution that I think is better than what's out there. And when you
Yeah.
say something like that, well, people turn around and they listen and they're like, okay, we're listening. But then it's like, oh my God, everybody's listening to me. And maybe you were like hiding before, maybe nobody was listening to you and you just
Yep.
keep saying things. And then now everybody's listening to you. And it is a scary thing to go into. It's scary when people start listening to you. It's just
Yeah, I mean, it can be, but that's just recognize that's just you pushing out of your comfort zone. Because, at some point, my guess is people are probably been listening to you at work in your role. Like you might be the go-to person for whatever your specialty is, or, for helping people in this specific situation because you've been doing it so long, you connect so well with them, you understand it, you're so empathetic, and you do have the knowledge and expertise to teach them XYZ or help them with whatever problem that they're doing. So my guess is that you probably have been being listened to in work, but this isn't a different, you're seeing yourself, transition into a different role. And so it feels really scary and out of your comfort zone. And I
yeah,
get that, but you cannot, like I talk to the nurses that I work with either one-on-one and the nurses that I work with in Nursing by Design. You cannot get to the next level of your life, of being a nursepreneur, of having this business, of being the problem solver, the gap closer, whatever it is that you want to be. You can't get there by being the same person that you are right now. You have to, there is a change that has to take place, and usually it's right here. It's your perception, it's you being willing to recognize that it's not about you, because fear is always about, fear of failure, fear of judgment. That's about me. That's about, what if people don't like me? What if they think I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about? What if they think my solution sucks and it's not going to work? What if they think I have the worst idea ever? That's all about me. And your solution, if you're serving people who are struggling, has actually nothing to do with you. It's just coming through you. And so that's the big shift that has to take place up here, with those mind gremlins, to recognize that, this really isn't about me. It is about the people who are struggling, who you are for some reason drawn to help and serve, because you chose, like, these are the people that light you up. Like, this is what this problem, set your soul on fire, helping someone through this struggle, whatever that might be. And so that is, when you focus on that, that's what it's really about. It's about those people struggling. And sometimes you have to kind of shake yourself a little bit, when a big opportunity comes and you're starting to feel yourself shrink back of, I don't know if I'm ready. I'm not quite ready. Can I do it in 6 months? No, that opportunity is gone. Like, it's gone. So, you have to say, like, what is more important? Sometimes I, like, literally picture those people struggling, and I will do, we're going to use our imagination. Like, let's use it to serve us. Right. And so, like, I imagine those people struggling, slumped down on the floor, like tears crying, or talking to their spouse. I don't know what to do, overwhelmed, staying up at night, whatever it is. I'm envisioning the people who are on the struggle bus, and I know I can help them. So again, what's more important, me helping somebody in that state, or me staying in my office behind my computer and behind my keyboard?
Right. Exactly. And Joe Neal says, is this like Benner's novice to expert? Absolutely. We all had to go through those phases. And I think that's what Benner really tapped into, was that idea of, this is unfamiliar territory. This is outside of my comfort zone. But, even as a nursing student, you got pushed off orientation. Like
Yeah.
most of us would have said, no, I'm not ready yet.
No, not ready.
And you would have said that for a long time. Like, you would have stayed on orientation for like a year before you finally were like,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, I think I'm ready. But even then, you're still not entirely ready.
not ready.
And I had a similar scenario going from nurse to nurse practitioner. So as a nurse, I felt very vocal, like, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem. Like, you need to come do something about it. But then when I became the nurse practitioner, and the nurses would say, you need to do this, you need to do this, all of a sudden I was like paralyzed, because I was the one
Yeah.
making the decisions and people were looking to me. And it is that what you're saying, like, well, what if I make a dumb choice, or what if I hurt somebody, or and in the case of medicine, it is, what if I hurt this person? Typically in business, it might not be quite like that.
Yeah.
It could be dramatic like that, but most often it's not. But there's still that kind of fear all of a sudden, where you have the responsibility and you're in the leadership role, and you have to own up to it, and it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah. But, what are we doing? I mean, what are we doing here? Like, are we just talking about starting a business and helping people solve problems? And, most nurses have been driven to the nurses in business specialty, right? The specialty of nursing in business, because the system is broken, and we all know it. Like, that, we've been driven to this new specialty, and most of us are creating businesses that solve gaps, that allow us to use our nursing skills and expertise in a way that we couldn't do it working in a traditional role. And whether we were on the floor or in that traditional role and tried to advocate, most of us did advocate for either colleagues or for the patients or the caregivers or whoever, and say, hey, this isn't working. This policy actually, does the opposite of what we want it to do, or whatever it is. This is a safety issue. We can't do this. Like, we've raised our voices, and a lot of us met resistance in the system. It's like, well, that's just the way it is. Like, I get it, but we're counting beans over here, and that's not part of the plan. And so we've said, no, like, no, that's not okay anymore. Like, we have this internal compass that says, that's not why I got into nursing. I know the need is still there. I know this, they're still on the struggle bus, and I can actually help them. And so that's why most of us have gotten into business. So now that we're in this territory, now it kind of comes the, like, well, here's where the rubber meets the road. Like, you can talk about it all day long, but it doesn't serve anyone to constantly be getting ready to get ready. Like, at what point are you actually going to help people, and let them know that you can help them? And turning
Right.
down
Yeah.
opportunities is it's self-sabotage.
Yeah. No, it's definitely self-sabotage. And it is amazing how many times in this past 6 months that I've had to deal with people that, or the nurses that just were like, no, I can't do
All
this.
out.
And,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was a little shocked because I thought
I
people
was
would be
too.
like falling over themselves or, ready to
Yeah.
pay money or, and it was just like,
We did have some people who offered to, like, who wanted to pay money. And I'm
yeah,
like, because they recognized, again, the power of getting in front of an audience of that size. Or, I mean, one, it was just the sheer volume of the audience, but also the different network that they would otherwise not have any way to get in the door to. So, they recognized that opportunity, and those were typically people who had been doing it a little bit longer, right? So they had, I think, more confidence about it. But when you're starting out, like, I mean, if you talk to any other, go outside of nursing to other entrepreneurs, if they were given an opportunity to get the word out for free to a large audience, would they say yes or no?
yeah. I mean, that's stuff that I spend a lot of money on. It's
A
getting
lot of money.
yeah, a lot of money. So yeah, no, it totally jumped all over that. And yeah, I mean, it happened too. I think when we did Pitch Fest, like trying to push people to do their pitch, and giving them that opportunity to do a pitch. A lot of them, were not ready.
Yeah.
They were not ready to present and see something change or have some
Yep.
sort of change occur, whether it's like a change in their idea, a change in the way they approach things, a
Yep.
change to the better, a change for the worse. Regardless, it was some kind of change that they weren't ready to address.
Yes. Yeah. And like this last Pitch Fest, I mean, that group just killed it. I mean, they just, if you didn't see the last Pitch Fest, be sure to go back and watch those replays, because it's incredibly inspiring, for one, what they're tackling, and as well as what they, were able to pull together, and realize that, here's the thing, like, and they're all amazing nurses, but at the same time, they're not special unicorns. Like, there was a group of them. So it wasn't like, oh, there's just one person who really is just naturally good at being a nurse in business, or has this one great idea, or has really good experience, so they're perfect for this. Like, no, they actually made a choice and then, like, committed to it. And so they had to keep doing all the, hit the milestones early on, like throughout, in order to be ready to do Pitch Fest. So they decided, I'm getting that opportunity and I'm not passing it up. And then it forces them, and we've had that feedback from different groups that have come through Nursing by Design, or course creators. And they were like, you know what? If I wouldn't have had that opportunity, like, I recognized it was too good to pass up. I just couldn't pass on it. But that's actually what forced me to do the work, to show up every week and keep moving forward, and make myself kind of grind it out in the beginning of trying to put this idea together.
Yeah, because it's hard. It's work.
Yeah.
It
Nobody
became
said, wait,
super. Yeah,
nobody said entrepreneurship was easy. Like, if you're looking for an easy button, starting a business, being an entrepreneur is not it. That's why it really helps to be purpose driven, and to be really, that's why, when I talk to people I work with, I'm like, you got to love what you're choosing, like the niche that you're working in, the problem that you're solving, who you're helping. It really needs to set your soul on fire, because there's plenty of not easy days that you have to push through. And what drives you, what does push you through, and sometimes pull you through to the other side to keep going, is knowing that these people are out here and they're struggling, and I can help them.
right. And
Like,
that's
you just
I've
know
had
it.
a couple nurses that, or, more than a couple, but they'll say, "Oh, when am I going to make money? Because I'm spending all this money, but I'm
Yeah.
not making any money." And the response that I always have is, well, one, what is this offer that you're putting out there? And
Yeah.
two, who are you putting this out? Have you built up any sort of audience? Like, are you getting in front of an audience? Are you offering them something? And invariably the answer is, well, no.
Not
So,
really.
yeah, so like, well,
Not
how do you
really.
expect to make money if you don't have an offer or an audience? Like,
Yeah.
those are the two things that we really pushed again in NBD course creators and with our webinar series was having a message, getting in front of a large audience, and being prepared with an offer to
Yeah.
share with them.
Yeah. And I'm wrapping up, my current group. And like today on the coaching call just before this, we were talking about, all right, what are your next steps? And here we are. And we're like, you're ready to go. And they're like, oh my gosh. Like it's time. It's time for me to put it out. And I'm like, it is.
They're
You're
like,
ready.
no, I want another 12 months.
Yeah. I mean, they're just like, oh, how do we already get here this fast? Right. It's like, this went really fast. And I'm like, but look, you're ready. Like, this is the first, you're ready for the initial offer. You're ready to get it out there and start, getting feedback and helping people. And it's going to be a mutual win because you're going to be helping people, but you're also going to be learning a lot. And it's always work in progress, no matter when you have another group. And, a lot of people will talk about your beta group or your minimal viable product. If you're strictly in the, business side of things, they'll talk about, well, yeah, this is what we want to create, but in the beginning it's phase 1 and that's your minimal viable product. So I'm like, you do that because it's always a tweak, adjust, learn, tweak, adjust, repeat, like test. That's the way it is all the time. How can I best serve? And sometimes in the beginning, we find that out in Nursing by Design when they start doing their research on their audience, that what they thought they were going to provide is not actually what their audience wants. And if they wouldn't have done the groundwork, like they would have created this whole program and then had crickets and been like, I can't believe this. This doesn't work. Why am I not? Well, because you didn't actually do your solution match, right? You just decided what you wanted to teach. And now you're out there with a megaphone, and you didn't do the groundwork. So it's a big step, but you can get to an offer very quickly if you commit to it. Right. And that's really the goal, is how fast can I get to an offer? How fast can I package my services, get it out there, start testing it and tweaking it and refining it and making it a better service, program, course, whatever it is.
Right. And I kind of put that in the same camp of, if I can put you in front of an audience, a very, very large audience, and you bail, or if I can get you to an offer as quickly as possible so that you can make money and you bail, like that's,
It's opportunity, right? Because most of the places, when you're getting in front of an audience to speak or present about what it is that you love doing, what sets your soul on fire? Who are you helping? Even if if I was talking about oncology, if I was talking about cancer, then what I would be pitching, like you're getting in front of that audience and they want to know, well, how can I continue to work with Jill? Or if you want to know more information, you can check out my course of here and you can find it here. And here's the link, right? It's springboarding to, like, that presentation builds your know, like, and trust with the audience. And if they like your style and they like what you're doing and how you're, helping them, providing value, they're going to want more if they're interested in that topic or if they're struggling with that issue. And so it's almost always a springboard for building your email list. Connect with me here, follow me on this, IG, go to check out my free YouTube series, or, here's a free lead magnet. And now they're on my email list so I can stay connected and continue to nurture the relationship. But that's what those opportunities are. They're springboards to sales.
Yeah, and that's happened to me quite a bit. Whenever I've been on podcasts, I'll have people then start following, what I'm doing, and they'll tell me later, oh, I joined you after a couple of months of following you, and I found you on so and so's podcast, and and that kind of stuff. So everything is an opportunity, even if it doesn't show up immediately, and show up down the line.
Absolutely. And especially those opportunities like podcasts, like YouTube, those videos, those things, they're evergreen, guys. Like I've had people who have connected to me from a podcast, from my original podcast episode with you, Katie, which was probably, gosh, 3 years ago or something crazy. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I can't even remember what I said on that podcast. What was I doing? But like they got it. It's out there, so they might come across it in their search, and it could be literally 2 years down the road, and they find you, or 2 months. So it's not just about the live. And we get that question a lot too. Like, well, how many people were live? I'm like, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's out. Like, yes, that's important. And especially if you built rapport and connected with them on your presentation and then gave them the way to stay connected to you, invited them to stay connected to you. But now the question is, where is that living and breathing? It should be, hopefully, if it's in a main traffic generator like YouTube or, LinkedIn or wherever, that people can find it. Podcasts, they can find it in the, months from now, years from now.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of that stuff it's really important when those opportunities do come to you. And, Kimball says this a lot, who runs our IV hydration mastermind. She talks about how she always says yes to things, and that can certainly get you in trouble as well. But, for the most part, if it's going to move your business forward and it gives you an opportunity to get your message out, then it's probably a pretty good thing to spend your time doing.
Yeah. And Kimball is like, I've loved watching how her business has grown, because she really is, you're exactly right. She's the epitome of, I can do that. And then she walks out the door and goes, okay, I got to figure out how to do that. Right. Like, so it might've been something that she was thinking about, but it was probably going to be in a later phase. But now she literally has a customer interested, wants her to provide this service. And she just says yes every time. If it's, and again, it's always related. It's in her business. It's related to it. She's not like doing something crazy off the wall. It's related to the types of services that she can provide. And then she's like, okay, let's go. Let's roll our sleeves up and let's figure this out. Let's do it. And she has grown exponentially and much quicker than a lot of people who started way before her, simply because Kimball says yes.
Yeah, and she was open to those experiences. She was open to, the possibility of not knowing what she was doing, and beginning and figuring it out as she went along, and developing relationships and working with other people to make sure she had all of her ducks in a row, so to speak.
And she always, go ahead.
I was going to say, she's got multiple locations. She just brought on a partner. She's got like lots of stuff going. So.
Yeah. And she, and Kimball's never and this is not what we're trying to tell you to do. We don't want you to fake it till you make it kind of thing, because again, in your space and certainly in health, like we want to be, stay in integrity, and of course be safe and transparent about what is our scope of staying in our scope of practice. But she did know that, what she identified with is, I'm not that person yet, but she's like, I'm a smart person. I can figure it out. Like, I can do, like, look at all the other things, look at all the evidence in my life of things that I figured out. And I found a way, I figured it out. I pulled in the right resources. She's not afraid to ask for help and go to someone who may be able to help her and say, hey, I'm thinking about this. What are you doing? Like, can you help me with this? Like, I'd love your insight. She's just not afraid, but it's because she really always operates from, I'm a smart woman. I can figure this out. Like, I've got tons of experience. I know I can do that. Now I just need the logistic piece. I just need to figure that out. It's, it was never, she didn't see it as insurmountable challenges, where a lot of us will kind of build things up of like, oh, that's so big, I don't know what to do. I'm not the right person yet.
Right. Absolutely. So, yeah, moral of the story here is, when you get the opportunity to get in front of people, even if you're scared, and that there's legitimate reason to be nervous about getting in front of a large audience, because they might get inundated. That's a possibility, sure. But I think the best thing to do is just kind of take a nice deep breath and recognize the opportunity that's in front of you.
Yeah.
And to find a way, like, what else are you doing that's more important than getting in front of a very large audience to
Yeah.
move your business forward?
Like, I can't think of a single thing besides the offer. And that most of those opportunities are expanding your network and having the opportunity to make an offer to people that you would have never otherwise gotten in front of. And then to be, especially when it's a speaking or a workshop or being part of something like that, a QA, an expert panel, something that you can, collaborate with on someone else. Like, it's just so powerful because it immediately builds your credibility as an expert because you were invited to this, whatever this was, to speak or be on an expert panel or be part of the Q&A or whatever it was, do a workshop together. Like, you immediately gain instant credibility.
Right.
And then you're building know, like, and trust because they're seeing how you work, they're listening to you talk, and how you answer questions and handle things, how you view things. It's incredibly powerful.
I mean, it's why people spend so much money. Like, people spend $5,000 and $20,000 a month to have a PR agent to get them
Yeah.
in front of
To try to get them the gig,
to try. They don't guarantee anything. They'll try their hardest.
try to get you booked on something where you can get in front of a audience, and no matter what the size. But here's, like, you recognize that it's not even about that. Like, when the, and this might sound a little woo woo, but when the universe brings you an opportunity, there's a reason. Like, pay attention. What is it? Like, is it because there's going to be one person in that audience who might be, like, key in a connection or key in promoting you or key in unfolding, an aspect of your business that you didn't even know, like, you didn't think was going to happen for another 2 years? Like, I don't know. I just am a firm believer that opportunity is coming to you for a reason, and pay attention.
Absolutely. All right,
Okay.
Jill. I think that's a good place to end.
Yeah.
Pay
Pay
attention.
attention to those opportunities. Don't let them pass you by.
All right, guys, we will be bringing you more Innergame coming up in the
Yes.
next 2 weeks, and look forward to working with you guys and talking about whatever issues or roadblocks you might be experiencing. So,
Yeah, and if you are, post your comments below this one. Have you had this struggle? Have you been debating about turning down an opportunity, and what was it that was going through your mind? We can help, let us help you kind of walk through that process of, dealing with those mind gremlins, because no matter how long you've been in business, they come up. Like, it's not like you deal with inner game issues or mind gremlin issues, imposter syndrome one time, and once you're through it, you don't ever have to deal with it again. Heck no. It comes up, it rears its ugly head multiple times throughout your journey as an entrepreneur. So, like, let's talk about that and help you kind of reframe a little bit so that you can take advantage on either a current opportunity that you've been holding out on, saying yes to, or for that next opportunity that comes up.
absolutely. All right, guys,
All
we'll
right,
see
bye
you in the
guys.
next